Let's talk about boating etiquette. Now, I didn't say boating rules and regulations. I am by no means an expert, a captain. I am not someone who has taken all of the courses or has vast experience. I do have 12 years of boating experience at the Lake of the Ozarks. So when I'm talking about boating etiquette, I'm very much specifically talking about the Lake of the Ozarks. As you know, if you're on this channel, you're very familiar with the fact that this is a Lake of the Ozarks channel. If you know the Lake of the Ozarks, if you've watched any of my videos, I would argue it's probably one of the most commercialized lakes on the planet. It is a narrow lake. It's a flooded river. It is a reservoir, technically. And there are boat sizes that range from, the smallest size dinghy all the way up to maybe an 80 to 100-foot cruiser. Crazy sizes here at the Lake of the Ozarks. Go fast boats, wakeboard boats, pontoons, cruisers, you name it. Everything is here. And so you have to have some understanding of how to operate a boat. As I mentioned, I'm not here to talk about life jacket rules and starboard versus port and which side you should pass on. Although I will go ahead and educate you on that real quickly, because I have had an education by fire from my followers. Now, first of all, understanding that the port side is the left side, the starboard side is the right side. And here's just a very simple explanation of who has the right of way. So if two boats are coming like this, the boat that is on the starboard side, so the right side, so this boat has to give way to this boat because he's coming on the starboard side. So if they're coming to meet right here, the starboard boat comes like this, the port boat has to maneuver to get out of the way. Now, the reason why I bring this up is because I want to talk about some etiquette here. And I'm talking more about common sense. Now, again, we're very, very specific about the Lake of the Ozarks. We're not talking about ocean vessels. We're not talking about even river vessels, even though this is a flooded river. But there are a lot of novices here at the Lake of the Ozarks. So when we're talking about etiquette, let's just say, for example, you are in your boat. Let's just call it a 27-foot playcraft. That's a tritoon, okay? And you are pulling out into a busy lake. In other words, there's boats coming from both sides, both angles, right? In this particular case, or this particular day, it was a busy day, and specifically the boats on the right side of the lake, because most boaters tend to follow the rules of the road. In other words, most boats stay to the right of whichever way they're going. So obviously, just like the rules of the road, it's not necessarily the law, but that is what most people do. Now, some boaters come from all which ways, right? Now, in this particular case, or this particular day, we were pulling out from our docks and pulled out into the channel, and we were just going up the left side of the channel because we were waiting to merge into the right. There weren't many boats or any boats coming from the other side. And at one point in time, I look up, I'm driving the boat, and there's the Seadoo'er coming straight at me. A Seadoo'er, okay, coming straight at me. And so the etiquette at the Lake of the Ozarks, and what I was told when I started boating down here, when I started visiting down here, was simply that big boat has right of way. Now, that's not technically the rule or the law, but it's kind of a common sense thing. In other words, you have the smaller boat, you're going to get your ass crushed if you hit them. So get the hell out of the way. And obviously, if you are on a Sea-Doo, for example, and this is what I teach my kids, you need to keep your distance from any size boat because you're smaller and you're more agile, right? And so in this particular case, this particular boater kept coming straight at me. And so we both kind of just held serve there for a second, because I'm thinking to myself, first of all, I can't maneuver as quick as you. Second of all, I can't get over to the right because there's boats there. So get the hell out of my way. Well, this particular Seadoo'er approaches me, ends up veering off. Maybe, it wasn't super dangerous. Maybe, 50 to 100 feet in front of the boat. And as he goes by, he drives by and yells, "Jackass," to me. I obviously was like, well, that was very nice of you there, young sir. And this was not a young sir, it was an older gentleman. But I was thinking to myself, at what point did you think that was a wise decision to just come straight at me? And I don't know if this particular gentleman has a captain's license, or if this particular gentleman has more experience than I do, or maybe if this particular gentleman has no experience whatsoever. But where I come from, it's called common sense. And if I see a cruiser coming at me, no matter who has the right of way, and he's clearly not moving, guess what? Getting out of the way. And I know that obviously sailboats have different rules than motorized boats, but to me, this is just common sense. And if you're a boater, especially at the Ozarks, really anywhere, if you don't have a lot of experience, what I've learned and what I've practiced is simply have common sense. If you're a sea-doer, what I tell my children is if you can read the lettering on the side of the boat, you're too close. So move back. Don't be too close to them. If you're jumping their wake, for example, get far enough back to where there isn't going to be any danger. And once again, if you are the smaller vessel, you know, give way, be smarter, you're more agile. And so again, I know that there's going to be some captains that might not appreciate or like my kind of loose explanation of this, but I believe that it's a common sense rule, and I think all boaters should practice this and use more common sense. And if you've never boated before, honestly, don't come down to Lake of the Ozarks on a busy weekend. Come down during the week or go to a different lake that's less commercialized and there's less activity because they're going to eat your lunch. And so you're going to find yourself very intimidated. For the rest of you, don't be jackasses. Be nice to your boaters. Wave to us as we go by. And let's just enjoy the best lake on the planet.